Have you ever felt like you're applying for a top secret security clearance just to open a checking account? Yeah, you're not alone. Today, we are going to crack the code on that whole alphabet soup of finance, AML, BSA, KYC, and we're going to reveal the hidden system that's designed to stop crime happening right inside your bank. Okay, let's get into it. Right? You know the drill. You're handing over your driver's license, your social security number, maybe even your blood type. Okay, probably not that last one, but it can feel that invasive. So what's with a third degree? Well, it's probably not what you think. You see, that mountain of paperwork is actually the very first line of defense in this massive global effort to keep dirty money, we're talking from drug trafficking, corruption, you name it, out of the financial system that we all rely on. So today, we're pulling back the curtain and showing you exactly how it all fits together. So before we dive into the nitty-gritty of all the specific rules, let's start with the big picture, the global mission. And that mission really is to keep the entire financial system from becoming a laundromat for criminals. This whole global effort is called anti-money laundering, or AML. You can think of AML as the mission statement. It's the ultimate why behind all those pesky forms and questions you have to answer. It's not just one single rule, but a whole framework of laws that basically forces banks to be the gatekeepers. So what is money laundering anyway? Well, in the simplest terms, it's the process of taking dirty money from some criminal activity and cleaning it by passing it through legitimate channels. The whole goal is to hide the illegal source, making the cash look like it came from a totally legit business. And that, right there, is exactly what AML is designed to stop. Okay, so now let's see how that big global mission gets translated into specific, enforceable laws right here in the United States. I mean, how do you take a huge idea like stop financial crime and turn it into something a bank teller actually has to do every day? Well, the answer is the Bank Secrecy Act, or BSA. This is the big one, the foundational law, the official rulebook for U.S. financial institutions. It essentially deputizes banks, turning them into frontline soldiers in this fight against money laundering, and it gives them a legal mandate to help the government. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see how the BSA turns that big idea into concrete actions. Banks can't just say they're against crime. They have to build entire compliance programs. They have to automatically report large cash deals, flag any activity that seems even a little bit fishy, and, this is a huge one we'll get back to, they have to actively screen customers against government blacklists. So let's say you're a bank. You have your orders from the BSA. How do you actually do all that? How do you really know who you're dealing with when somebody walks through the door? Well, that brings us to the most hands-on part of this whole system. This is where we get KYC and KYB. KYC, or Know Your Customer, that's the process of verifying your identity as an individual. It's exactly why you have to show your ID. Now, KYB, or Know Your Business, is the corporate version, and it's way more complex. A bank has to dig deep to make sure a company is legit and, most importantly, figure out who the real people, the ultimate beneficial owners, are actually pulling the strings. This is all to prevent criminals from hiding behind anonymous shell companies. And this just shows you that it's not a one-time thing. It's not like they check your ID once and they're done. No, it's a whole process called customer due diligence, or CDD, and it's ongoing. Banks have to not only identify you, but they also have to understand the purpose of your account and then continuously monitor it for anything that seems off. It's a relationship, not just a single transaction. Okay, so part of that ongoing monitoring means looking for some very specific red flags. This includes identifying people who, just because of their job, might pose a much higher risk for things like bribery or corruption. And this is where the term PEP, or politically exposed person, comes in. A PEP is someone in a powerful public position. You know, senior politicians, judges, military leaders, people at that level. Because of their influence and their access to state funds, the global standards say their accounts need extra scrutiny. It doesn't mean they are corrupt, it just means the risk is higher. And as you can see here, the term covers a lot of ground. It's not just the president of some other country. It can be domestic officials right here at home, or even senior leaders at international organizations like the World Bank or the UN. Banks need to know if their customer is on one of these lists because it totally changes how they monitor that account. So, besides identifying high-risk folks like PEPs, what's the other absolutely critical check a bank has to do? This is where we get to the real heart of what a background check in banking truly means, and it involves some very specific and very serious government lists. And this brings us to our final acronym, OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets Control. Now, this isn't just any government office. It's a super powerful agency inside the U.S. Treasury, and it's a major player in national security. OFAC is the one that creates and enforces sanctions lists. These are basically blacklists of individuals, organizations, and even whole countries that are forbidden from using the U.S. financial system. So here it is. This is the aha moment. When we talk about a KYC check, it's not just about them looking at your driver's license. A huge part of it is the bank taking your name and running it against these official government lists, like OFAC's list of sanctioned terrorists or drug kingpins, to make absolutely sure they aren't about to open an account for a wanted criminal. That is what's happening behind the counter. Whew, we've just decoded a whole dictionary of acronyms. So let's just take a second and put all the pieces together so we can see how they cascade down from this big global idea into a specific action at your local bank. So it all starts at the very top with that big picture mission for the entire global financial system, AML, the goal of stopping crime. Then, to make that mission real in the US, you've got the law that sets the specific rules of engagement, the Bank Secrecy Act, or BSA. And that law forces banks to adopt a core process to actually vet their clients. That process is, you guessed it, know your customer and know your business, KYC and KYB. And finally, inside that KYC process, banks use critical tools to get the job done. Two of the most important are screening for those high-risk, politically exposed persons, or PEPs, and running checks against those non-negotiable sanctions lists from agencies like OFAC, so you go from goal to law to process to tool. And that whole interconnected system is why opening a bank account has gotten so complicated. It really has to be. But, it leaves us with a huge question. As criminals get smarter, using everything from crypto to AI to hide their tracks, how is this alphabet soup of regulations going to have to evolve just to keep up?